Hey guys, welcome back to the Eatahfood kitchen, and I am very excited but also slightly nervous because today we are going to be making bread. Yes, Chrisal is going to be putting one in the oven. Not that I have one in the oven, but I am a little nervous because me and baking wasn't really any friends, and I know you have people like that out there. I have baked before, but this is officially my first time making bread without a bread maker. So I want you guys along with me for the ride. We're going to be following Baidawi's foolproof recipe, which he used in the UFC. And if you're wondering what UFC is, it is the Ultimate Flour Championship. If you have not watched that video, go on Eatahfood channel and look for it now. And while you're there, subscribe one time. But yeah, that he did an entire championship featuring different flours and how to bake the bread and the results. So you know this thing is foolproof. It is tested and tried, and it cannot fail. Else this episode wouldn't air. Right guys, so we have all our ingredients here laid out, which is the best way when you are doing a recipe for a first time and you have either your phone or your iPad or your laptop or whatever, right? So you make sure you have all the ingredients visible. So we have water, we have vegetable shortening, we have yeast, salt, sugar, and of course flour. And that is it. Simple ingredients, but in the end it makes what we all love. Bread. Bread is something that is so comforting. And I don't want to hear nobody saying, oh God, I don't want to lay off carbs. Okay, fine. You could lay off the carbs for one day, but for the rest of the days, eat bread. Nothing wrong with bread, right? So let's make it. So we're going to have all our dry ingredients first. So this is the flour that was already sifted before. We're going to add in the yeast, salt, sugar. And I'm just going to toss this around to make sure it's well incorporated. I would imagine at this point, if you're doing multi-grain bread or flaxseed bread or whatever kind of bread, you would have added it at this point as well. But today we're just going easy. Remember, this is my first time making bread. So we ain't doing no such a fancy thing, right? All right, so I think we have everything incorporated now. I am going to scoop out the vegetable shortening. Make sure I get all of it out there, right? And I am going to add in my water. But first, let me just take off. This is a good thing in baking, especially with bread. If you have your rings or whatever on, take it off, please, because you don't want dough to get stick up in your rings or your jewelry. Right. So you're just gonna slowly pour in. I made like a little well in the middle. And the thing with bread is kneading. That is the main thing, right? Well, you can tell I'm a little nervous, right? So I just want to make sure I get a little something first, and then I'm going to transfer it on to the surface. I'm gonna scoop. I just hope by the end of this process I don't end up with flour all over my butt in baking bread, so it is expected. But I know you all seen that coming together nicely. All right, guys, so we have reached the point where we want to reach, which is a nice little ball. So we're going to transfer it now to a floured surface. And here's where the work really starts, right? Because we have to knead the dough for not 6 minutes, not 5 minutes, not 7 minutes, but exactly 8 minutes. Remember, this is a recipe that has been foolproof, tested and tried. So we're gonna knead, and in this process, we're actually developing the gluten. So you turn. Now you see how easy I'm doing this, and I am not a bread maker. I'm not no big baker, but you could knead flour, man. You just had to put in a little elbow grease, turn, and you stretch the dough out that way. Roll it in, stretch it out. Roll it in, stretch it out. Right, guys, so 8 minutes later, your dough should have come together like this. Very smooth, firm to the touch. Listen, like a baby's bottom. I feel so proud already. So I think the major part of the work is done. We are now going to let the dough rest. It will rest but also rise at the same time. In here, and then we're going to cover it. And check it back in about 40 to 45 minutes and it would have doubled in size. Yeah? Alright guys, so several minutes later, as you can see, our dough has doubled in size. The yeast did its job and it did it very well. See, all of them there's gas, so you just... That was so satisfying, I kid you not. Right, so we're gonna take it out. Oh gosh, it feels so smooth. Right, so we are going to roll it out in a rectangle, about 1 inch thick. Wow, it is really feeling very, very soft. And I think it could be a little delicate, you know. The roughing up of the dough part, that part gone already. So now it's just for you to have a little finesse, you know what I mean? All right, guys, so we're at the point where we have to now tuck and roll. So we are going to, it says to, using your hands to roll the dough onto itself, making sure to tuck the seam in tightly with each roll. So it's tuck and roll and you're doing it tightly, right? Because you don't want it to unravel. So with each folding, you kind of tuck. And that is kind of like sealing it and fusing it together. Right? And remember using my bread pan as a guide, so I kind of making sure that I keep the length of the pan. Absolute concentration. Okay. Okay.
Very important.
What's the next one?
You want to make sure that the bottom seam
seal.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So at the end, but very important, we want to make sure that the bottom is fully sealed in.
Even like this, pinch it.
Pinch it, yeah. Yeah, just to make sure that it kind of fuse. Remember when it bakes, it's just going to be all smooth and perfect, but we just want to make sure it doesn't unravel, right? Place our bread in here. And we're going to let it rise for another 20 minutes. So at that point, it will just kind of fill up the pan and then we're going to put it in the oven. All right, guys, so as you can see, it has risen quite nicely and we're just going to put it into the oven now. Olia, I'll make bread. I'll make bread. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it. Well, if I could make this bread, you could make this bread too. So we're just going to pour a little butter on it to get it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you guys how good I am feeling right now. I have just overcome one of my fears of baking bread, and you guys did it with me. I felt like you all were here with me. So if you have any fears, if you feel like you can't do something, don't believe the lies. You can do it. You can do it. 'Cause a little butter make everything better. Oh my God. Well, yeah. Don't let any bread company bust style on all you. Make your own bread. It's easy. How long again until we have to slice it up? We had to let it cool, like at 20 minutes. 10. Let me go for 10. In 10 minutes, we will slice it up. Right. So the moment of truth has finally arrived. And I don't care what anybody says, the end of the bread is the best. Boom! See any nice swirls, nice soft. soft, the bread soft. And straight out the oven, bread don't need nothing much but butter. I mean, you could put cheese if you want, but in my house, my mother and I always fight for the end. Just put a little extra butter on it, like so. I make this. Look at that. Wow. Nice crust on the outside. Look at that. Soft on the inside. I can't believe I make this bread. I don't know why I was so nervous. Because the bread came out absolutely perfect. And I think once you're working with a recipe that is precise, that, you know, the instructions are pretty clear, once you follow it to a T, all of this bread is going to come out just like this or even better. I mean, it's soft. It has a nice crust. I can't remember ever, even back home, I don't even think our bread home ever came up with this nice crust. And I think it has a lot to do with the kneading process. We knead this bread, we work that gluten for 8 minutes, and then we just tuck it in tightly, swirl it in, and then after you put the butter when it come out. So I think all of those things came together to make such a really, really great end product. And yes, we know baking is a science, but you don't have to be afraid of science. We live in science, you know what I mean? Science is a part of our everyday lives. So guys, let's check out the recipe. Make this bread now, man. Make this bread. And if you make it, tag us and let us know. Send us pictures. See you on the next one.
You're proud of that bread.
Of course I'm proud. Wow, I can't believe it. Definitely not as hard as I thought it would be. That's one good looking bread, eh?